Hi, everybody. How's it going? Thank you for not joining the beer garden and coming and hanging out with me a little bit this afternoon. Yeah, right? I'd rather be in the beer garden, too. Okay, so, but I do want to thank the ad tech organizers and the ad tech sponsors for such an amazing event and a reason to get me here, here in your beautiful country. And I have to say, I'm really excited to see more of it than what I can see from my hotel room. I've been telling my friends on Facebook, they've been doing the countdown with me. I'm like 24 hours and I haven't been outside, 36 hours and I haven't been outside. So after this, I want everyone to kind of join me outside so I can have a beer. Okay. Firstly, let me tell you a little bit about my company, 20th Century Fox. Obviously, we have a partner, a territory office here that's Foxstar India, and my colleague's here with me today. Thank you so much for coming from Mumbai. She's like my rock. She's been making sure that I don't leave anything around lately, because I've been mined on this presentation. So 20th Century Fox is one of the major studios in Hollywood. It's a glorious past, and international is clearly going to have a glorious future. But I thought instead of me telling you about the company, since we're an entertainment company, I'd have a video made for you. How about that? Okay, so we'll run the first one. Oh, God forbid. That's not quite how it works.
What? Tell us! Nothing can stop us! Outstanding. Welcome to the party, pal! It's time to take it to the next level.
How's that for a magic trick?
Damn straight.
Are you seeing this?
King of the world! Holy crap!
What more can they hit us with?
Let's find out.
That's us. So now you know a little bit about where I work. I'll tell you just a little bit about me. My career went digital in 1997. I was in retailing, and I kind of did this side project and started an online store for the retailer that I worked for, even though none of the management thought that it would ever make any money, and just thought it was, bee's folly. And lo and behold, it actually made money, and then I was like, I'm out of here. So I went to 20th Century Fox, and I've been there for 12 years. And as Brad told you, it's, it's really difficult to be one of those people who's quietly in the corner saying, we should be doing a website. We should be doing an email program. Email's dead now. We should have a Facebook page. But you know what? There's a bunch of us in Hollywood that are doing that, and it's a very, very exciting time to be there. But I also need to let you know that my job is not to sell movies on digital devices. And I think a lot of people in the conference thought that that was my job because people would come up and say, oh, you know, I have this great platform for you to show your movies. And I'm like, that's great. There's a whole different group that's handling that. My job is to convince people using these digital devices, convince them to shut them down and go and experience film in the way that God intended it to be consumed, which is on a big screen, right, with 300 of your best friends that you don't know, because at that moment, you all want that shared experience, right? I mean, some would say the best way to watch a cricket game, a cricket match, is live, right? Okay, so for me, the way you watch a movie is in the cinema. Okay, I'm also very social. Where's Navita? Hello? Hey. Okay, so I actually, you know, I got to take a picture of you guys so I can, you know, tweet it. You know, it's like, look, these people didn't want beer. They wanted to come and listen to 20th Century Fox. So she's going to get a picture of you guys. So let's get started. You know, I'm really excited because I think me being here actually shows how Hollywood has become part of the fabric of entertainment here in India. I mean, there's no doubt that Bollywood is king. There's no doubt. But you know, it's amazing how Hollywood films have been accepted around the world so readily. And it's amazing how content has just, you know, how it spreads around the world. And I mean, everybody knows who this guy is, right? Okay, but who would have thought a couple of years ago that the most watched video on YouTube, over 1.4 billion views, plus another billion or so views of homages and spoofs and unofficial uploads of this guy speaking a language that only 70 million people in the world actually speak. It's pretty remarkable. So entertainment is definitely transcending borders. And this is how Hollywood is transcending borders. As you can see in the blue zone, that's the growth year over year for international box office. And as you can see, the red area is where the United States is. And as you can see, it's pretty flat. I mean, obviously, they're healthy numbers, but it still isn't growing like the international box office is. And this is the breakdown by territory. And if you look, Europe is huge. And a lot of that is because of a territory called Russia, right? Where a couple of years ago, Hollywood movies meant nothing, and now it's one of our 5th biggest territories in that territory. And then, of course, there's China, Brazil, and India that's helping to fuel that growth. I promise those are the last boring slides that I'll show, okay? So don't rush out to the beer garden yet. Oops, you weren't supposed to see that one yet, though. So it's a very exciting time to be in film marketing. And, you know, I often wonder, was there another time when technology affected Hollywood as much as digital is affecting Hollywood? And I did some digging to see if I could find out just, you know, the history of Hollywood and technology. And a lot of people, as I was doing this, said, oh, it must have been the DVD or the VHS that really changed the way Hollywood, the Hollywood business. And what I found is that it's really not the case. It was actually, you know, where I kind of alluded to, the television. And it's funny because I don't even think of the television as a technology. I mean, does anybody think of it as a technology? It's the box in your house, right? You hook technology up to your TV, right? But no, back in the 40s, it was very much a new technology. And up until television, studios actually had a pretty good run. From the 20s to the 40s, studios had vertical integration. They owned the contracts with the stars. They owned the production. They owned the distribution. They even had the cinema chains. They owned them. And you know, so it was a very happy time in Hollywood for maybe a few people. But during World War II, the FCC chairman in the United States decided that Hollywood was not going to be able to control the television signal like Hollywood thought they would. They saw it as just another way to deliver content. And if Hollywood had their way, we would be paying for every TV show we consume through that box. It would be a box office model. Well, Well, the FCC chairman went to Hollywood and said, I'm sorry, we're not giving you spectrum. And then something else happened. In 1948, there was a ruling called United States versus Paramount Pictures, and they declared studios a monopoly. And so they made studios sell off, divest the exhibition arm. Well, you know, what happened was studio execs basically, I'm going to say it, boys behaving badly. We're not going to play with you then. And so Jack Warner famously said that the only screens which will carry Warner Brothers product will be screens of motion picture theaters the world over. Well, by 1958, movies and radio have been basically displaced as the #1 entertainment medium by television. Flash forward to the 70s, and box office is booming again. But guess what? Hollywood figured out how to play nicely with television. And then all of a sudden, the TV spot, the idea of that holy grail of marketing, the TV spot, became the way that they got people to stop watching the small screen and go watch the big screen. Doesn't that sound a little bit about what I have to do today? Convince people to get off a bunch of screens and go see the big screen. So this looks like the typical young consumer, doesn't it? That's actually my kid. And he likes movies, but he loves games. He loves games, he loves being on his devices. You know, if we're going on a road trip, we've got to pack the iPod, the iPad, the mobile phone, and you know, whatever else. And for me, it's like I'm a pack mule. For him, it's just a good time. And so I often use him as my focus group of one. Because I think about it, he has so many different entertainment options available to him than I ever did at his age. So basically, in essence, we're marketing to kids like Jack, busy parents like me, busy execs like you all, and convincing you to turn off all those devices at your desk, in your pocket, in your homes, and go to cinema. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we get it wrong, but we certainly always try. And so what I'd like to do today is demonstrate one case where I think we got it right. And that's the movie Life of Pi. And I just want to know how many of you in the audience today have seen Life of Pi. Wow. Oh my God, I just got a chill. That's when I should have told you to take the picture. Okay, well, for those of you who didn't raise your hand, all 5 of you, it's a story about a boy who survives 227 days at sea in a lifeboat with a Bengal tiger. And it's a book, and it's a movie that everyone said could never be made. I mean, after all, if you were to take a live boy and a live tiger and put them on the live ocean to film a movie, you would basically get a horror film instead of a film of life, love, faith, spirituality, survival. So thankfully, because of the technical advances of another movie that you may or may not have heard of that my studio did called Avatar, I don't know, probably not. But anyway, and also Rise of the Planet of the Apes, it made it possible for us to render a lifelike tiger and make this movie. And then, of course, the visionary director, Ang Lee, decided that he was going to take it on. And a lot of the reason why the film was greenlit was because my bosses that oversee our international division were so passionate about this. You know, people told them that, you know, okay, the marketing of this movie is going to be impossible, and they said, we can do that. We can do it. So it was their faith in us and our faith in the movie that really came to fruition. So we believed 2 things to be true. First, that the movie was going to be visually stunning. And secondly, that we needed to convince the broad movie-going audience to connect with it in a much deeper way than they would maybe a typical Hollywood film. After all, there are a lot of movies out there, art house movies, that can survive on a small audience because they're made with a much smaller budget. But this was the art house film with the big budget film production budget. So what we did was, well, first of all, this goes without saying, anyone working Hollywood, Bollywood, whatever will tell you that the best sell you have for a film is the trailer. It's the longest piece of content. There are experts that can create this beautiful spectacle of a story, picking the best shots, the best lines, and putting them together in a collage of, oh my God, I have to see this film. So we waited until we had a perfect trailer to debut for Life of Pi. And as you know from the beginning of my talk, the best way to see that trailer is in cinema. But the reality is today, most people will actually see it online or on their mobile device. So what we do now is eventize the launch of trailers online. We pick a day. It's our debut day. We let everyone know around the world, okay, this is the day that you need to come up with some plan, some strategy to make sure that you have people looking at our trailer. And I'm pleased to say that our teams around the world did a great job, but India in particular, it was beautiful. So it was one of the most successful launches of a Hollywood trailer in India ever. They had coverage across all of the online portals and video sites. They gathered 500,000 aggregated views in just 2 days. And for 24 hours, they were trending here in India on Twitter. So, I mean, that is really fantastic. And the reason why I realized that something was happening and we needed to figure out what was going on was because the Fox Star India trailer got more views than the US trailer on YouTube. It was amazing. You know what? It was so cool. Okay, I'm glad you're here. All right. So, and here, as proof, there's the Twitter page. So now everybody, I keep this thing, I'm not used to these. I'm used to like a little button right here. Anybody else? No? Okay, just me? So everyone here has attention deficit disorder. You know, like something's popular one day, and then the next day they've completely forgotten about it. Hopefully that's going to happen with the Harlem Shuffle any second now. So, I know, right? Okay, so our mantra is this: tell, don't sell. And I can't take credit for those 3 words. They actually came from a friend of mine at Facebook. And she was telling us how we need to make our Facebook advertising much more appealing and interesting so that it doesn't look like an ad. It looks like something that people want to share. Which makes complete sense. And then I realized, well, you know what, that's what we're trying to do anyway, across the digital, all digital platforms. And so we're storytellers, and we have to make sure that we're really good at telling a story and letting the consumers actually engage with us in that storytelling. So here are some examples of what I mean. So these are thematic quotes from the film that pair up with beautiful visuals from the film. And so people who connected with it early on actually found these on our Facebook page and thought they were amazing enough to actually share, to the tune of like 9,000, 16,000 shares, which then go out on their timelines, and a bunch of people start talking about them. And some people who weren't even liking the Life of Pi page were sharing these cards. It was remarkable. So when you look at the stat of how many people like your page and then how many people are talking about it, we had over double of the people talking about our page than actually liked the page. That's a really good place to be. Next, we love to share what critics say about our films. And back in the day, you know, the way that I would find out what a critic thought about a film would be that I would open up my hometown newspaper and I would find the cinema section and I would read the article, right? Well, that's certainly not what happens now. And quite frankly, most people online don't even read the whole the whole article. They'll read like certain lines. If you look, Variety even now has the first paragraph that sums up how they feel about a movie, and you can go on and read the rest of it, but most people just read that first paragraph. So what we do is we make those quotes easy to share. And this is an example. And then also, if you look, the 2 smaller images are actually tweets. One from Anne Hathaway and one from Russell Crowe, both Oscar-nominated celebrities, actors. And we took screen grabs of their tweets and then not only retweeted them, but took the JPEGs of those tweets and then put them out into social media. So if somebody missed it on Twitter, they saw it again through Facebook. So not everything we do is specifically for Facebook, Twitter, what have you. We also encourage our local territories to figure out ways to socialize local events. So this is an example of an offline event that became a worldwide sensation. And when I say worldwide, I am not joking. In fact, when I was setting up for this, someone actually told me, hey, I know about that, like from here. It was like, yes. But what we do, how I found out that this one was really going to take off was in my Twitter feed, somebody had actually taken a picture of the invite and it tweeted it, and then like 2 tweets later, it ended up in my feed, and then I called the marketing director and I said, whatever you do when you're setting up, you've got to shoot video so we can show how this came to be. And so what I'm going to show you guys today is just how they were able to pull off doing a screening in a swimming pool in Paris.
Story you'll find hard to believe.
Magique.
So it goes on to, with different interviews of people just saying it's incredible, it's extraordinary, what an amazing experience. I've never had anything like it. I can't wait to tell people about it. This movie, blah, 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 blah. Exactly what we wanted to happen, right? C'est incroyable. Okay, we also like to celebrate whatever holidays fall within our promotional window as well. I mean, equal opportunity celebrator. I am personally an equal opportunity celebrator. As long as there's a reason party, I'm there. But we had a really fun reason to celebrate here. So can we run the toolkit? And this is actually, there's a card in front, and so just ignore that part and look at the visual. That's the part to ignore. There you go. All right. Oh, come on. for you. Okay, we also brought the tell, don't sell strategy into our paid media as well. And you know, if you think about it, paid media, that's what you're supposed to sell, right? But we didn't think that that would be enough in this case. And so we needed to give more context around the story. And so we partnered with Yahoo in many territories around the world. And we leveraged their Yahoo Contributor Network, which are bloggers that have been vetted by Yahoo as writers with a following, and both online, through Yahoo, through their own blogs, through social. And we gave them assignments to write about spirituality, hope, survival, how something changed their life. And so this is an example of one of those stories that was written through their blogger contributor network. And even though the title says a book that inspired me to find happiness, the book wasn't Life of Pi. It was another book. And we had stories like this, you know, moving away from, you know, their busy city lives and buying farms in the country, or, you know, going on a sabbatical in a country that they've always dreamed of. All of these stories written all over the world in different languages, which we then branded with the skin Life of Pi. People were reading these stories, and Yahoo was putting them on an editorial, across their network in an editorial way. But the cool thing is, all of this led to then paid advertising, where people could upload their pictures of inspiration and share them with us. Now, did a lot of people upload pictures? No, but that wasn't the point. What we wanted was a way that people could see that this movie was more than just a typical film, that it was one that had a much deeper and moving meaning. Also, the other thing we like to do in digital marketing is to partner with any big technological launch that is happening at the time of our promotional window. And thankfully, Microsoft you know, knew that we were opening up Life of Pi, and so they planned their Windows 8 launch right within our window. Now, anyone who believes that is, like, I've got stuff for you to buy. Yeah, exactly. Actually, it was very fortuitous, because Microsoft had been a great partner for us for a long time. In fact, we love Xbox as a marketing platform, because it's a place where entertainment consumers, people who love entertainment, are actually sitting in front of a big screen. Their Xbox is hooked up to their TV. And so it's a great place for us to showcase our trailers, which is fantastic. But with Windows 8, the opportunity was really great, because we had a lot of people logging in and checking out the new interface and checking out the new content. So we also used another tell, don't sell technique, and we merchandised in a featurette of James Cameron extolling the virtues of the movie Life of Pi, a movie he didn't make, but was made using a technology that he created. Can we roll that video, please?
First thought about using 3D, I thought this is an impossible project. But if I add another dimension, maybe it's possible.
I think there's no greater pleasure than sitting in a theater and being taken on a journey by a master filmmaker like Ang Lee. It was just such a magical vision. You feel wrapped in the story right from the beginning. And I think the 3D certainly contributes to that, but it's also just great filmmaking.
I was so impressed with the balance of the 3D and the actual story. It's amazing how it embedded itself in as if it was one and the same.
It took me a long time to figure out. It's a big endeavor. I thought if I use 3D, maybe that new technology can open up people's minds. Vamos! Vamos!
You go on a journey that's eye-popping, that's terrifying, that's exquisitely beautiful. You know, so to me, it doesn't get any better than that.
With Ang's movie, you connect so well. You feel that you're in the middle of that ocean and isolated from civilization.
You've got to go on the journey. You have to see it for yourself. The 3D is an integrated part of the art form, and I feel like the technology that we created has contributed to a masterpiece.
It doesn't get much better than that. So, you know, the rest of the story, we did social listening, you know, just to see, do the temperature reads to make sure that people were getting what we wanted them to get from all the materials we were putting out. Overwhelmingly positive responses. We held our breath and opened the film, and we got rave reviews, great word of mouth, lots of people repeating, repeat visits, and in January we crossed over $500 million worldwide. Here in India, it's the #2 Hollywood film of all time, which is just extraordinary. Paul, I can't pronounce his last name, Guy, he's in all of the trades every weekend, you know, making comments about the films that are out that weekend. Okay, you know what, wait, hold on. Before I have to say, Hollywood's like a crazy business. We tell everyone how the movies did every weekend. No other business does this. I always find it quite bizarre. So, I mean, like, think about it. What if Coke had to tell you, we sold X amount of cans this weekend? I mean, it's like we're the only ones that do this, right? Okay, anyway, so back to my presentation. All right. So the film is still playing in cinemas around the world. No joke. And on Sunday, we're going to see what happens at the Oscars. We were nominated for 11 Oscars. So, wow. I had absolutely nothing to do with that, but I'll share your applause with the ones who did. But yeah, this is a great story. It's one that Hollywood dreams of. It's one that I wish, you know, we could say we do all the time, but this was one where we just really got it right. And I'm incredibly proud of the hard work that thousands of people around the globe put into marketing the film that could never be marketed. So there's so much more to film marketing. You know, I could go on and on. You know, my colleague and I were laughing today. We said, gosh, you know, sometimes it's so hard. People think our jobs are like glamorous, and so not. And, you know, but what keeps us so excited and engaged is that we love film, and we love what we do. So you deal with a lot. But I know you guys are certainly ready for the beer garden. And I also want to make sure that I can take some questions. So why don't we start with that, Brad?